boxing world, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Bout Hour, the channel dedicated to bringing you fantasy matchups on a regular basis. If there's a particular matchup that you want me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I promise to honor your request. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell notification. This is an exciting time for boxing. This is an exciting time to be a boxing fan. I'm referring to the upcoming fight on August the 21st, which is on a Saturday, of course. The fight between Manny Pacquiao versus Errol the Truth Spence. I am so excited about this fight. Boxing is back. What can I say? Boxing is back. And I hope that boxing keeps up the momentum of making big fights like this, of making the best fight the best, of making the best fighters fight more often. We've had enough inactivity. We've had enough avoidance, to tell you the truth. So I just hope boxing continues to get back to the business of making the fights that the fans want to see. I'm cautiously optimistic about that. So there you have it. Please tune in to that fight. I'll be tuning in. So in this video, I'll be doing something different. I'm going to cover two fights in this video. The first fight I'll be covering comes by way of requests, and that is coming from question marks. And question marks wanted me to cover Pryor versus Pacquiao. The second fight I'll be covering comes from Terrell C. And Terrell wanted me to cover Ward versus Calzaghe. So let's start with Pryor versus Pacquiao. Both of these fighters are very similar. They both have great hand speed, great footwork. They're both great volume punchers. Let's start off with Aaron Pryor. You know that Aaron Pryor was going to bring it. He was going to swamp you from the opening bell. His most notable fights were his two fights against Alexis Arguello. And so, we know that Aaron Pryor was explosive. Not only was he a volume puncher, and he had stamina for one. He had great stamina, but he had a decent jab. He had some decent head movement, but of course he's known for his volume punching. Manny Pacquiao. We know that he's known for his volume punching, his footwork, his hand speed. I forgot to mention that Aaron Pryor had good hand speed. And we know that Pacquiao, just an explosive fighter, just a fast fighter. But where they differ is, of course, their stances, one being southpaw, one being conventional. But I think that Manny Pacquiao was a little more disciplined in his attack. He was a little more technical. I believe that Aaron Pryor threw caution to the wind, and he was just coming to get you. He didn't seem to have a lot of concern with what was coming back at him. Like I said, he used good feints and good footwork, but for the most part, it was mostly offensive. But Manny Pacquiao is not going to go blow for blow or punch for punch with you. He's going to pick his spots, jump in, throw his flurries, jump out. So although they are both volume punchers, that's where they differ. Aaron Pryor is going to go blow for blow with you, but Manny Pacquiao is going to see an opening. He's going to jump in, catch you off guard, get out, reset, do the same thing again. So that's where they differ. As far as who will win this fight, I have to go with my instincts. I have to go with Manny Pacquiao. Because although both of these guys are mostly offensive fighters, Manny Pacquiao seemed to be a little more technical with his attack. He seemed to be a little more disciplined in his attack. And he just seemed to be more mindful with what was coming his way. And Manny Pacquiao is a counterpuncher by nature. With Aaron Pryor coming in to swamp Pacquiao, I just can't see Aaron Pryor getting away unscathed from advancing his attack. I think he would definitely run into something. I don't know that Pacquiao would knock Aaron Pryor out, but I would most definitely give him the decision because, like I said, he's more disciplined in his attacks. So I'll go with Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao by majority decision. Let me know what you think about that one. Okay, Mr. Terrell, let's cover Ward versus Calzaghe. Well, let's start off with Calzaghe. We know that he's an extremely awkward fighter. He's a southpaw. This guy just threw punches from every possible angle, plus made up new angles. I mean, Joe Calzaghe was just a freak of nature, for lack of a better term. His most notable fight to me was his destruction against feared, at the time, Jeff Lacey. Great fighter. I don't think he was undefeated or retired undefeated by accident. I mean, he retired undefeated for a reason. He's criticized for his so-called lack of power, but a lot of times his opponents were bruised up from accumulation. So if those were slaps, those were some hard slaps. I mean, and Joe Calzaghe is the last person I want to be slapped by. So a punch is a punch, a point is a point. As far as Andre S.O.G. Ward, one of my all-time favorite fighters. I think he retired too early, in my opinion, and from my standpoint. But I'm just a fan. He's the one in there taking the punches and taking the punishment. So I'm just coming from a fan standpoint. I personally wanted to see more of him. And so, but yes, Andre Ward, an extremely gifted fighter, an extremely skilled fighter. He's up there with Floyd Mayweather as far as skills is concerned. A lot of people, for some reason, consider him a boring fighter. I don't get that at all. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than to see a great display of the sweet science. I loved how Andre Ward was able to control all three distances: close distance, mid distance, and far distance. I mean, he would rough you up on the inside, but he would keep you at bay with his jab and his defense and his head movement from the outside. Andre Ward was a great fighter. He made it rough on you, and a lot of people accused him of cheating. And the only thing I have to say about that is, at the end of the day, it's a fight. I mean, all fighters use tactics. Andre Ward roughed his opponents up on the inside to discourage them. So what can I say? If you can get away with it, more power to you. As far as how this fight would play out, I think that Andre Ward could possibly get swamped. 23. Excuse me. I feel that Andre Ward could possibly get swamped by Calzaghe's activity, his constant pressure, and just his constant just coming at him. Joe Calzaghe sometimes left himself open to good counters. We saw that Roy and Bernard Hopkins caught him early in the fight. I can't remember if both of them floored him in the first round. I'm pretty sure they did. But the question is, would he recover if Andre Ward did the same thing? And I think that Andre Ward is a better counterpuncher than both Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. This fight could get interesting. It could get interesting. This fight has Fight of the Year written all over it. And so, wow. Not the easiest one to analyze because there's so many factors in this fight. There's so many factors. It's not a simple fight at all. I see Joe Calzaghe having his moments early on in the fight. But like Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward is a great adjuster. I've seen him adjust to just about anything. I hate to bring up Kovalev because of that controversial win for Andre Ward, but he's not the first person to win a controversial decision. I personally thought he won. That's for another video. Okay, won't get too heavy into that. Won't open that can of worms. But With the adjustment factor, I have to give this one to Andre Ward by a close split decision win. Like I said, that fight would be fireworks. Andre Ward is not a boring fighter at all. I think people who don't understand boxing make those types of statements, but at the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their opinion. So in the first fight, Pacquiao versus Pryor, I have Pacquiao winning by majority decision. In the second fight, Andre Ward versus Joe Calzaghe, I have Andre Ward winning by split decision victory. And so let me know what you think about both of those fights, and I will see you on the next video.